Hey, digital deception viewers. So we've got a lot going on. You might ask yourself what's happening. Well, Donald Trump has called for the arrest of all masked protesters and ordered a military response, deploying federal troops to Los Angeles amid escalating anti-ICE demonstrations, according to yahoo.com slash MidasNews.com. Um, Here's a little bit of I'm gonna play you a couple clips and then I'm gonna go over a few things. And This will be our news for the day. So this is the peaceful riots, or what looks peaceful right now, going on according to the AP and on their live stream in Los Angeles. According to what is being reported, Marines have been dispatched to Los Angeles, but they are officially saying it's a training exercise, but it doesn't look anything like that. And Donald Trump has made comments in the last few days that he would like to deploy them in response to the protesting. So, he's authorized active duty military, including 500 Marines on standby, and according to the Pentagon, 700 Marines activated to support over 2,000 National Guard troops already in LA. According to VanityFair.com, AP News, slash APNews.com. Why is this significant? This marks a rare and unilateral federal deployment of the National Guard and military without California Governor Gavin Newsom's approval. Something not seen since the 1960s. So I would like to play for you the first day when the guards, the Midas Touch reporting on when the guards were there, and then also a clip from Gavin Newsom on the Midas Touch network with Ben, and then I'll go on.
Donald Trump is going to war with America, sending the National Guard and even potentially the Marines against the people living in the United States of America. Donald Trump is terrorizing America. Began with ICE raids, not targeting criminals, targeting hard-working migrants. They were going to factories, to courtrooms. They were going to Home Depot parking lots. They're going to schools and neighborhoods, ripping families apart to try to incite anger, confusion, sadness within these communities. And then protests were peaceful here in California. Just take a look at what the LAPD had to say. The LAPD, as of Friday, was thanking the organizers for peaceful protests. Sure, there were certain protests where there were some agitators, and they could be dealt with by the LAPD and the LA sheriffs. We have more police here in California than most countries have in military, but Donald Trump very quickly escalated this intentionally to be provocative, to cause violence, to provoke a situation where he would then call the National Guard, unlawfully, I might add, where he used a statute which is not the statute that should be used. There's no statute that should be used to federalize the National Guard and send them against people here in the United States of America. California has responded with a lawsuit. We'll talk about that on this episode. And
all right. So that was the start of it. That was like yesterday and the day before, and today it's gone a little bit deeper, a lot deeper actually. This marks a unilateral federal development of the National Guard and military without Governor Newsom's approval, something not seen since the 1960s, according to The Guardian. Critics, including Governor Gavin Newsom and legal scholars, argue that Trump's use of limited federal statute, not the Insurrection Act, to justify the deployment stretches presidential authority and may infringe on states' rights and civil liberties. Also, you could find that on Politico. And here's the interview with Gavin Newsom himself on what is going on. And him and Ben did this interview together, so I'd like you to see him and his words for what I was just saying. Here you guys go.
Increased threats to federal law enforcement officers and federal buildings. Approximately 700 active duty U.S. Marines from Camp Pendleton are being deployed to Los Angeles to restore order. We have an obligation to defend federal law enforcement officers, even if Gavin Newsom will not. That was his post. What's your response, Governor?
It's just complete nonsense. It's Orwellian. It's a manufactured crisis. Let me give you a proof point of that. As we all know well, they illegally and unconstitutionally deployed the National Guard over the objection of the governor, or my objection. And we filed a lawsuit on that. There were 2,000 National Guardsmen deployed, but they cannot operationalize the needs for more than 300 of them, meaning 1,700 of them have not been utilized in any meaningful way. Just moments ago, they also called up an additional 2,000 National Guards. So now 4,000, of which only 300 have been operationalized. And guess what? Yesterday, LAPD had to protect and use their scarce resources to protect those National Guardsmen and women against protests that were incited because of their presence. And I say this as someone who's very proud of our National Guard and care deeply about them. They are being put into harm's way, and Donald Trump has created and manufactured a crisis that I assure you, to your tweet and the reference text, is going to be made significantly worse if they impose the Insurrection Act and deploy 700 active Marines in the military into a U.S. American city in this manufactured crisis.
We saw that there were...
Alright, so on the ground impact, protests were triggered by violent ICE raids in Latino neighborhoods, which led to confrontations, property damage, arrest, and clashes with law enforcement. Local law enforcement, including the LAPD, has said they were overwhelmed, prompting Trump's call on Truth Social for troops, arrest of mass demonstrators, and ending mass protest. Legal and political fallout. Governor Newsom had labeled the deployment unlawful and authoritarian and is suing the federal government. Constitutional scholars warn this sets a dangerous precedent for deploying active duty troops against U.S. civilians, raising fears of further escalation and federal overreach. What happens next? Lawsuits by California could challenge legality of using federal troops without state consent. On the ground, the military presence is currently focused on protecting federal assets, but Trump has threatened broader use of military forces if protesters continue to spread. In summary, Trump has escalated his response to anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles, deploying federal troops, including Marines, and ordering arrest of mass protesters. This has sparked legal battles, alarms from constitutional experts, and broader debate about the limits of presidential power and the militarization of civil unrest. I will keep you guys posted as more developments come in. It's really saddened to me that I had to get back to start reporting news instead of doing AI conspiracy videos, but this is something important going on right now, something that I feared would happen, something I've talked about in the past. Thank you guys for being viewers of the channel. Thank you, Midas Touch Network, for all the reporting you do, and thank you, viewers, for just being there. I will keep you guys posted with all the facts that I can get you when I can get you them. Hope you guys have a good night.